Hey guys, we are live with Bryant Dunn, who's the owner of Christmas Island Lodge. He's actually live and on site at Christmas Island. So we were doing a meeting last week and we're doing this video conference and I could see everything so clearly. I thought this would be a great opportunity to show all of you that are signed up. I know we have some that are already booked for this trip, some that are considering booking this trip. I thought this would be a great way to give everybody kind of a firsthand view of the remodel, the location to the water, just what a spectacular place this is, and all the amazing stuff that Bryant and his partners have put in, and the time and energy, and then also give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Bryant. Obviously, we're dealing with Christmas Island, long ways away, so there could be some delays. Just be patient, and then if Bryant does cut out, he will come back. So don't worry about that either. So we'll just do our best to make this a great presentation, and thank all of you for joining us. Bryant?
Hey everybody, how are you? It's good to see you all, or almost see you all. I'm happy to be coming to you from Christmas Island in the Republic of Kiribati. We are located about 2 degrees above the equator and about 1,340 miles due south of Honolulu. So that'll give you an idea of where we are. Christmas Island is one of 33 coral atolls in the Republic of Kiribati. The Gilbert and Line Islands out in the middle of nowhere. Unless you're here, then it's an amazing place to be. Christmas Island Lodge, we are excited to be opening on August 15th, and I'm looking forward to sharing a lot of information with you and answering any of the questions you might have. So Brian, maybe I could just tell you a little bit about Christmas Island itself and how this lodge came to be, and what it is we offer, and you know what it is we look like after a remodeling and renovating head to toe out here in the Central Pacific. Does that sound like that would work?
That'd be great. Yeah, and then we'll open it up for questions.
That sounds good, and I'll do that. Before I do, I just want to show you the ocean. There is the Pacific, the Central Pacific. That's right off the porch of one of our 4 private oceanside bungalows. Each bungalow has 2 private ensuite suites, 1 or 2 people per suite, depending on preference. But every individual angler gets his or her own space. And I'm going to show you the inside of one of our bungalows in just a minute. But I did want to show you the ocean to let you know how very close we are indeed to it. In fact, you can fish right out the front door, and that's exciting. But let's step back first in history a little bit and talk about the history of Christmas Island. Now, the first people to come through Christmas Island actually did so several hundred years ago. They were seafarers, generally coming from the area of Tahiti, and that would be the cultural background of the Kiribati people that live on this island now. But back then, the wayfarers didn't stay and live permanently here. It was really just a resting point on the way towards Hawaii and other islands that they were headed toward. There are archaeological remnants on the island that demonstrate human history back 500-600 years, including coral rock, small edifices that are actually designed to help the incoming seafarers to navigate the ocean on their way to their next destination. So it's fascinating history. Christmas Island was named because Captain Cook, back in 1777, came across these islands on Christmas Eve of that year. But actually, these islands had been discovered by other European seafarers, including the Spanish and others, many years before that. But that is where Christmas Island gets its name. So that would be the more distant and modern history of this coral atoll, the largest atoll in the world. Christmas Island itself has a population of about 7,000 year-round inhabitants, almost exclusively the Kiribati people, which are the people native to this country, although the total population for the island only exceeded 1,000 people back in the 1980s. So it's really a recently growing population. And its most recent human history, as far as the Europeans are concerned, were as a testing ground for the hydrogen and atom bombs back in the late 1950s and early 1960s. You can read about that history in many places. There are no lingering effects here, no radiation, nothing like that. But an interesting human history to read about if you want to know more about the more modern day, medium-term history of the island. The people are amazing. The culture really is spectacular and unique. The people here are very friendly, incredibly welcoming. It's a very safe place to be, and very remote. When you come to Christmas Island, you are coming to a third world country, and by that I mean an undeveloped country. And this is not a developing nation. Nothing in Kiribati is developing. It's the same every day. The sun rises at the same time, sets at the same time. The only difference in ambient temperature over the course of the year is about 1 degree, because we're right on the equator. And so you have the same length of days. The sun rises around 6:30, sets around 7, and that's it, day in, day out, which makes for an amazing fishery as well, because there's almost no variation other than the daily tidal cycles. Your considerations when booking a trip might be, do you want to fish during a spring tide? By that I mean a new moon or full moon tide cycle. Do you want to fish during a neap tide cycle? And by that I would mean half moons waning and waxing. The tides are vary more significantly in amplitude during the spring tides and less so during the neap tides. Many people would suggest spring tides are a good time for giant trevally, one of the many species that we have here, as you have more significant tidal fluctuations and more intense flows in and out during tidal shifts, which have a tendency to bring the GTs in and out. However, what I've found, having spent a fair amount of time here, is that we actually have equally good fishing during our neap tides. It's just the way it is. I was fishing yesterday and broke off a massive GT at low tide during a neap tide. I also, unfortunately, missed a shot at the largest bluefin trevally I've ever seen, which would have gone at least 25 pounds. And again, that was at neap tide on a low tide. So pick your tides as you will. The fishing's always great in Christmas Island. So as anglers, if you are familiar with Christmas Island, you've probably heard about the prolific bonefish populations here. But the fact of the matter, in my opinion, is the greatest strength of the fisheries on Christmas Island is the fact that you can come and pursue many different species at the same time. Yes, there are bonefish all over the place. There's no doubt about it. But it's the multi-species fishing action that I consider to be by far the most desirable and exciting factor of our fisheries. And just to name a few of those, what we're looking for are there's really 5 different types of trevally, and those would include giant trevally, bluefin trevally, golden trevally, striped trevally, spotted trevally. When it comes to triggerfish, we have 4 species of triggerfish, including the yellow margin triggerfish, the mustache triggerfish, the Picasso triggerfish, and the peach face triggerfish. Incredibly spooky, very wary, and you will see your backing in an instant if you hook one of those fish. Okay, so that's 9 species right there. We haven't really even gotten started yet. Covered your trevally and your triggers. You have bonefish, very much so. You also have a number of different reef fish, whether it be goatfish or wrasse or parrotfish, yellow snapper, rockfish. It really goes on. And of course, there are predator fish as well, including blacktip sharks and barracuda, some huge barracuda. If you go online to our Instagram account at Christmas Island Lodge, you can get a good idea of the species that we're following here, including going on to our website at christmasislandlodge.com and go to our fishing page, which includes a fishing gallery. And christmasislandlodge.com includes a lot more than that. It includes an introduction to our guide team and our service team, our lodge manager and our international host, our head guide, and the entire team altogether. I think you'll enjoy that page. It includes all of the information you would need, frequently asked questions, for instance, and many of those. So a lot of info on christmasislandlodge.com. Please check it out. And let me just answer a couple questions. Tina, I see you've been asking how long I've been here. I'm just going to answer you this way. I've been here for 3 weeks on this trip, and I'll be back in about 2 months for 3 more weeks. overseeing the final remodeling and renovations of this lodge. Quick history of the lodge, though. Christmas Island Lodge sits on a larger, right now we are a fenced compound area that accounts for about 2.3 acres of oceanside bungalows, private beach, and a very, very comfortable, very cool vibe at this lodge area. Hammocks in the trees, thatched roofs on the bungalows, and I can stare at fish tailing right in front of me all day long. This property sits on the larger 20-acre parcel that used to be known as the Captain Cook Hotel. And the Captain Cook was the first lodging for traveling anglers dating back into the 80s and much earlier than that into the late 50s as a British military base, and had many different purposes over the years. But the Captain Cook Hotel, if that is familiar to you, is adjacent to this property. The bungalow property is separate. If you have stayed at the Captain Cook in the past, you would recognize that there were bungalows there, and you may have even stayed in them. But ours are completely renovated, top to bottom, as you'll see. New roofs, new exteriors, new interiors, new tile, new showers, sinks, toilets, refrigerators, air conditioning units, fans, you name it. This is a very comfortable place to stay. And though I fly back to the USA tomorrow, I will tell you, I sure wish I wasn't having to leave. There's just so much more to do. Again, folks, that chat bar on the side of your page, feel free, fire away. I will answer as I see them. I'm sure that questions will arise, I should say, as this goes on. But I wonder, Brian, if now's not a good time to have a look around a little bit and take a look at our bungalows and our lodge property. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. And break on in if there's anything, Brian, you would like me to discuss further. And so, folks, I'm on my laptop now, and I'm just going to use it as a camera. As you've seen, the beach is right there. I've just set out a private dining table for myself and my international host. We enjoy our dinners there, whether it's steak, lobster, fresh fish, or any number of entrees that the team provides and presents every day. The food is superb, and there's plenty of it. So if you look behind me now, you'll get a good idea of what our bungalows look like. Each bungalow is colorful. It's unique. Each bungalow has a name. The purple bungalow behind me is the Jeet Suite. The pink bungalow farther behind that, which you can see there in the distance, that's Milkfish. Behind that is a yellow bungalow, similar, and that's Bonefish. And we have an orange bungalow here in the front, and you'll see some of our fishermen, some of their clothes drying in the wind. Of course, we have daily free laundry service. That's Triggerfish. So we are completing a number of different projects now in anticipation of our first group arriving on August 15th, our opening. And that includes constructing and completing our new lounge area, which you can see right behind me. It's taking shape. This is a shaded area on the beach. If you can see that there, all dining will be done in the lounge. Tables are being constructed now. You'll be served your private entrees there for breakfast, and you'll have lunch out on the water, and then you'll have dinners in there, and that'll be exceptional. We do still have some structures we're remodeling. We're getting another 2 bungalows online, one on or about October 1st, and another on or about January 1st. So currently we house 8 anglers at a time. We'll be moving to 10 soon, and then 12 shortly after that. So that's what the exterior looks like. It is, I can assure you, and I'll just show you a better view here of our beach. And Brian, just chime in if I can answer anything on your mind. You see the beach there? There's not another human being between us and the farthest point that you can see. It's also true, look in the other direction, down the beach that way.
Looks amazing.
It simply goes for miles, miles and miles. All of that waterfront is fishable, walking and wading, bluefin trevally, GTs, every species you can imagine are there as well. So on your arrival day, when you do fly in to Cassidy International Airport here on Christmas Island, we'll bring you into your room. We'll greet you with a cold towel and a welcome drink, and then we'll get you situated in your bungalow. And then we'll have a welcome orientation meeting shortly after that. And then it'll be cocktail hour, and you may even wish to go walk down the beach with your fly rod and undoubtedly encounter some group of species along the way. It's a wonderful way. It's a soft landing, let's just put it that way. Entirely up to you. Hammocks are in the trees, if you can see that far down, blowing in the breeze. And the ground crew takes great pride in being creative. We have gardens all around the property. And we are in the process of planning and mapping out our first vegetable garden and flower garden, so that we will be creating some of our own produce that we use for our meals as we attempt to be more and more sustainable, which we think is important. And by the way, when it comes to sustainability, I think it's important to touch on the concept of conservation. Conservation is very important to those of us partners at Christmas Island Lodge. Several of us are deeply involved in various conservation groups and serve on the boards of several, including the Fisheries Conservation Foundation, among others. And we are very interested in the conservation of our fish species and fisheries, not only here on Christmas Island, but in many other countries where we operate lodges and outfitting businesses. So coming here to some of the chats, I see that there's a question by Drone about how far to the fishing areas from your lodge. Well, if you stayed at Captain Cook Hotel in the past, you would know that it was a rather bumpy 45-minute drive to London, where the boat launch was, and then back at the end of the day. But we, in our joint venture agreement with the government of Kiribati, the first ever joint venture between the government of this country and an international outfitting group, we were able to obtain lease to a 2-acre parcel, exactly 8 minutes from the lodge on a very smooth road. We own our own vehicles, our trucks, and we drive you right to our own boats, our large outrigger boats, and it's an 8-minute drive, very, very quick. So the days of the long drive from the Captain Cook Hotel are long gone, as is our direct relation with the Captain Cook Hotel. That is not a brand that we are connected to anymore. This is a very different reality and a new day near Banana on the northern shores of Christmas Island. Drones, check with Fiji Airways specifically about their drone transportation regulations, but certainly people are bringing drones and flying them around. So check in with Fiji Airways just in case they change their policy between now and when you might visit. But I can tell you that drones are certainly here occasionally with anglers and make for some amazing footage. So that's great. And Drone, along with you, do guides tie flies for your guests. All of our guests that come to the lodge, excuse me, are expected to bring their own gear and terminal tackle. We are in one of the most remote areas in the world, and only once you get here will you truly understand the isolated nature of this place. I say that because you're going to want to bring everything you need with you. Do our guides tie flies for our guests? A couple of guides do tie flies, but that's not something to depend on. You should be bringing your own stuff. As you'll find in the booking packets, that is a requirement. So keep that in mind. The fly recommendations in the booking packet are very accurate. And ultimately, you need crabs for triggerfish, shrimp for bonefish. Any of those and almost anything else in the world will work for the trevally species, the bluefin trevally and the striped and spotted and golden. The big trevally are going to be eating those big bait fish and minnow patterns. You know, I'd be recommending a 12 weight for the big jeets. I'd be recommending anywhere from an 8 weight, 9 weight-ish, 10 weight, 8, 9 for bones, whatever you prefer. Some people like to not work as hard, and it's nice in the wind when you have a stronger rod. 10 weights for triggers is a really good number there. They're incredibly strong. So those are some recommendations on gear. Keep those questions coming. And now we're going to go inside and have a look at the interior of this. Is in the Jeet Suite, our purple bungalow, and this is where I've been staying the last several days. So this bungalow is going to look a little bit lived in, but not much, just lived in enough to really look just like what it's going to look like when you're here visiting us in Christmas Island Lodge. So in we go. This is all rooms look essentially the same. Most rooms have a coral walls and curtains on windows that are looking out to the ocean right now, as you can see. Every room has a queen-size bed, and those beds, of course, have new clean sheets. You'll see creative towels on the beds every day. And so this is, again, these are private individual lodgings. If a couple comes and stays with us, they'll almost always choose to stay together, which is great. And if a single angler comes together, then he will have this for his or her private space the entire time. You'll also notice that we have table and chairs, a refrigerator there, so that you'll find cold drinks in your fridge. You'll find sodas, cold water, and beer if you prefer it in your refrigerators. We also have, as you can see, indoor AC units and fans. So that's pumping out air that's 62 degrees, and the fan is pushing it around the room, as the AC unit does too. Frankly, a lot of times it's so cool, I'll turn the fan off and leave the AC on only. So though Kiribati is a very, very warm country, and you'll be hot here, you can plan to be that. When you're in your room, you're very, very comfortable, and those fans and AC units run all night. We can now take a look at the bathroom. So in the bathroom, again, you'll see the coral stone walls, mirrors, brand new toilets, and sinks, and showers, tile top to bottom. Everything's new. Shower curtains, good privacy. It really has everything you could want and need in a comfortable bathroom, especially considering where we are in the world. So the amenities are wonderful. You'll always be comfortable. I prefer a nice cool shower. That's what you'll be wanting at the end of a hot day of fishing. And then, your fridge will look something like this. Beer, water, sodas. There is a freezer, which works very well. And so that's what the interior of the rooms look like. Okay, I'm starting to see a few more questions come in. So let me just move back outside and sit down and address those. And Brian, fire away if there's anything you'd like me to touch on specifically.
So far, great.
Booze, yes. So included in your package are sodas, bottled water, and all the water we drink here is bottled water, filtered bottled water. The water is not potable out of the sinks, as it is not in most developing or non-developing countries. In most countries around the world, that's the case. So you wouldn't be rinsing your toothbrush under it. You wouldn't be drinking it, but you'd certainly be showering and washing your hands. Very, very comfortable there. So you'll be provided with water, sodas, and beer. And if you would like hard alcohol spirits, you can purchase those in the duty-free shop in Honolulu. The total limit is 2.25 liters, which basically means 2 bottles of booze, and then one of those small, might have 4 or 5 small little airplane bottles, which comes out to be about 2.25. So each person has that limit, and that's limited by Kiribati, the Kiribati government. Okay, 2 beds per room. No, there is 1 queen-size bed per room. 1 queen-size bed per room. Now, if a couple, if 2 partners come out, then they will have a queen-size bed to share. We don't offer 2-on-1 lodging, so you actually do have private space. But of course, we do have a few extra beds we could move around if we needed to, if that was a priority of yours. But again, these are private spaces. Each person or couple will have a queen-size bed in their own space. Electrical system for camera gear, charging receptacle. Yep, we're running on the same type of outlets that you have in the United States. So plug on in, bring your stuff. You don't need any inverters or converters for your electrical cords. Standard operating procedure per the U.S. Plug-in system. So bring your chargers, whatever you need. Every room has multiple outlets to plug anything in that you need. And Tom, I see you have a question here. Are you currently, or have you ever been affiliated with the guides at Christmas Island Outfitters? They're currently guiding at Sunset Beach Lodge, Sunset Horizon. Okay, no, we do not. That is a entirely different outfit. Christmas Island Outfitters is an entirely different business. But thank you for asking that question. So just moving back down, is your private boat access on the oceanside or lagoon? It's on the inner lagoon. It is on the northeastern corner of the inner lagoon. So we literally can be the first on and last off the inner lagoon every night if we choose to be, because from the first moment we take off from our boat launch, we're already at the most distant part of the inner lagoon as far as any of the other lodges. And those familiar with Christmas Island, if you've been here before, you know that the other lodges are up in the London area, Tabakea, London, Tennessee, that part of the northwestern part of the island. It's very populated there. It's the hustle and bustle of a third world densely populated area. A lot of noise, a lot of everything that goes with that. Christmas Island is utterly alone. There's no one around us. There's no one here but us. I have not seen a boat go by in front of this lodge in 3 weeks. There are no lights on the beach for 3 miles in either direction. It's pristine, it's private, it's unlike anywhere on the island. More than that, it's unlike anywhere in the Pacific or any flats fishery that I've been to, and I have fished many around the world. So that's a wonderful advantage of Christmas Island Lodge. What time does a typical fishing day start and finish? That's a really important question. The lodges on this island operate on the same schedule. They get up at 5:30, they eat breakfast at 6, and they depart at 6:30. The morning schedule is the same at Christmas Island Lodge. We just happen to be to the inner lagoon much earlier than any of the other lodges due to our location. But we actually fish until 4 o'clock. All the other lodges fish until 3:30 is their reels up standard policy. I know that there can be some flexibility on certain days where guides may choose to stay out a little longer, and we certainly feel that same way. But of course, we defer to the group. What we can promise is our standard day of fishing is the longest of any lodge on the island, starting at 6:30 and ending at 4, with some flexibility depending on the desires of the group as a whole. So that's what our day of fishing looks like. They're long days, they're hot days, they're productive days. And then what happens after the day of fishing? We come back to the lodge, we meet the truck at the launch site at about 4:30. We're back to the lodge less than 10 minutes later, and then it's cocktail hour. Up to you. Take 5, take a break, go into your air-conditioned room, which will be very cool and comfortable. Pull out a soda or cold water or a beer. Enjoy that. Go out to the lounge. And I should touch on this because it's very, very important, and it's unique to Christmas Island Lodge. We are fortunate to have the Starlink internet system here. That is how I am communicating with you in real time. The last time I did a speed check, we were downloading at 138 megabytes per second. That's faster than what I have in the United States. We were unsure when we brought the system here if it would work because Kiribati is not scheduled to get Starlink service until 2024, but due to our system coming from the USA and our global Roam subscription, we're able to take it anywhere in the world, and it has been seamless, and it makes all the difference in the world. If you want to check out and go offline for a week, you may certainly do that. But if being connected to the internet, to your family, to your friends, to your businesses, your work, and the other priorities of your life is something you simply can't or choose not to live without, well, you have the fastest internet on the globe right here at Christmas Island Lodge. And that's one thing certainly the other lodges don't have. To my knowledge, only one of them has internet of any kind. So The local internet is at about 1.3 megabytes per second. We're about 100 times faster than that. Yeah. So shore lunch for lunch can be absolutely, or we in our boats we have what we call boat houses. So they're canopies that are over the very comfortable and padded seating area, so you can sit in the shade as you float out in the open with a nice breeze on the water. It's a wonderful way to have lunch. Or we can pull up to any of the small motus or beaches to have lunch there as well. Tom, I see you have another question. How are guests paired up with the guides? Is it a daily rotation based on the species they want to target that day? Another great question, asking all the right questions. Guides are and guests, and by the way, at Christmas Island Lodge, we don't have clients. That's a business relationship. That's a handshake and exchange of money. What we have at Christmas Island Lodge, we only have guests. As I train this guide staff, as I've trained guide staffs from all around the world, it's imperative to understand the philosophy that a guest is like family, and we treat our guests like family here. And that's why our staff is so happy, so excited to have people coming here. It's because we have a different philosophy when it comes to guest service. The fishing is very, very important. That's most of the reason why most of our guests come here. But the fact of the matter is, it's about a whole lot more than just fishing. It's about the way you're treated. It's about the way you're welcomed. It's about the way you're attended to while you're here. And the fishing will speak for itself. You do not need to be concerned about that. It will blow your mind. If you've never been to Christmas Island, it will be a place that will reset your understanding of what a flats fishery can be. From the inner lagoon to the Huff Dam area to the Korean wreck on the southern side of the island. Completely different and unique experiences that are unlike each other, and each of them jaw-droppingly unbelievable. So our guests are paired up with a rotating group of guides. Again, please go to christmasislandlodge.com to see our guide staff there. And so every day you'll be with a different guide. We'll be taking you to multiple destinations over the course of your week. In most cases, you will fish the lagoon 3 days and fish other destinations on the island by truck, all of which are remarkably productive. And every day is a different fishing experience, seemingly the next better than the previous. So you'll get a chance to fish with many different guides. We do allow guide requests and reservations in advance of your bookings or concurrently with your bookings, and we can do that for you. We currently have 4 senior guides, a couple of senior guides that rotate through, so 6 senior guides, 4 of which are on duty at any given time. We're currently only offering 2-on-1 guide ratio reservations. That's going to change in 2024 when we start offering 1-on-1 options as well. We have a development guide staff, our assistant guide staff of 8 up-and-coming guides, many of which are already ready to go to the senior team and have been well-trained, had multiple years of training. So we'll be incorporating them in our senior guide staff too, allowing us to then evolve to the 1-on-1 options. I see that Drones asked another question regarding snorkel diving gear. You're certainly welcome to bring snorkel diving gear. If you want to go snorkeling, you can do so out in front of the lodge. There are many different places that you can go snorkel. Again, our fishing days are long. Unless you want to take a day off from fishing, you could certainly snorkel after we get back from fishing. But again, you probably won't be back to the lodge till 4:30-ish. It gets dark at 6. Well, sun goes down at 6:30, dark at 7. Dinner is served, by the way, at 6:30 as the sun is setting. And then you're usually done with dinner by 7 or 7:30, and it's dark, and you're probably exhausted and ready for the next day. But yes, indeed, snorkeling gear is great. Several of our staff actually will go out and snorkel dive for lobsters and giant clams, which sometimes will be part of your meals. The nuclear destination areas, they're at the other end of the island, down by Aon Field, which was the old landing strip for the big British and American military planes. How far is that from here? It's approximately 20 miles, more or less. Fascinating to see it. And on the day that you go to the Korean wreck, you will literally drive on that runway and see it. It'll amaze you that exists on this faraway place, but it does indeed. And up until just a few years ago, there was quite a lot of old abandoned vehicles, trucks, cars, anything you can imagine, ships, etc., that were left over from those British and American military days. Those have all been removed. This island is utterly pristine. You could walk half a mile and not see a single piece of plastic or garbage on the beach. It's amazing that this place can be so incredibly pristine, seemingly unaffected by man at all. And of course, the fisheries reflect that. Let's see, Brian, what else can I touch on that you might like?
I was going to say, why don't you've done a great job on the fishing. Talk a little bit about what the food that you guys are bringing in from Honolulu and the packing of the Yeti coolers every week, because I think that's another thing with Christmas Island, the quality of water and the quality of food and the air conditioning. And you guys have really taken care of all of that. Speak a little bit about the food you guys are bringing in.
Yeah, so in the several international businesses, outfitting businesses that I own and am a partner in, one thing's just proven to be true without doubt is you've got to have a local partner, an on-the-ground partner who literally and figuratively speaks the language and can be a facilitator. In this case, for us, our local partner is exceptional. He's an importer on the island. He imports on ships, has shipping containers, many of them full of everything from Coca-Cola to diapers to ramen to you think of it, he's got it here. And his brother is also an importer and supplier in Honolulu. So our supply chain is unlike any other on the island. Every week on the Fiji Airways flight that you will be flying on if and when you join us, there will be Yeti coolers on board full of fresh produce, meats, vegetables, cheeses, and any other menu items we need for the upcoming week. We get our seafood from here. We don't have to go far for that. So that we're always supplied with the freshest of ingredients for your meals. A standard week might include one night of steaks and potatoes, a night of lobsters and vegetables, a pasta night perhaps, certainly fresh seafood at least one or two nights, and maybe something like burgers or just about the variety is remarkable. Pork chops and stuffed chicken breasts, and it goes on and on. Always vegetables. You might have Oriental style rice dishes, garlic bread with your pasta, on and on. You won't get a lot of things like salads. The greens don't travel particularly well for those sorts of things, but you'll always have an appetizer, a hearty entree, and so you'll be getting the freshest of what there is in Honolulu. So it's a wonderful combination, and everyone is very well served in that regard.
Great, good job. I really like that answer. The other thing that I get a lot of questions on is emergencies. What happens in the event of an emergency or a health issue or concern while out on the island, and how's that dealt with?
So there is a hospital in London, and there are clinics in all of the villages, including Banana, which is just a couple hundred yards, down the road, maybe 2 minutes. And so there is a level of medical care here. There's not nothing. It would not be the level of medical care you would expect in the United States. But if you break your leg or something like that, you're going to be taken care of. More significant medical emergencies would need to be serviced through medical evacuation. So we highly encourage all of our guests to get medical evacuation insurance. You can do that in a number of places. And I'm not sure if Got Fishing has primary medical. Yeah, so I would encourage you, if you're booking through Got Fishing, to take Brian's advice on their supplier. There are many of them out there. And so find some medical evacuation coverage. This is one of those trips where it would be absolutely worth doing so, because there's only one flight a week. That's it. And that's never going to change. So if you have an emergency, either you're paying to be medically evacuated, if that's even possible, probably out of Honolulu, that could cost mid 5 to 6 figures to get that accomplished. or you can pay a couple $100 for medical evacuation insurance and you not have to worry about it at all. Some of the staff here has some first aid training. Our international host, Jose Camparos, most recently from Piralaj in Argentina, has first aid training. We have a significant first aid kit here at the lodge. I'm here quite a bit. I'm a trauma responder, so if I'm here, I'll take care of you. But those are the realities of traveling to Christmas Island Lodge and to Christmas Island in general. So be prepared. Travel insurance is important. If Fiji Airways cancels their weekly flight for any reason, that might only happen 1 out of 100 times. But I understand that every few years that can happen. You're going to be here for an extra week, and there's nothing that can be done about that. So travel insurance and medical evacuation insurance, definitely go through gut fishing on that and sign up. You'll almost certainly never use it, but if you need it, you want it.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any other questions out there that we can answer? While those are coming up, I'll just quickly address, for everybody that's been on here, we've been sending out a lot of emails on it, but we have a special running right now with Christmas Island Lodge. So everyone who gets booked before the end of the year is going to get that introductory pricing. And then just to be clear on that, you have all of 2024 to book that trip. So between tonight and the end of the year, December 31st, we got to get your trip booked. You'll save about $750. And then you have literally, if we booked it tomorrow, you'd have like 18 months before you actually had to use it. So it's a great way of planning in advance, getting your trip planned out. And so, yeah, want to make sure that everybody's completely aware of that. One other thing I just wanted to clear up, just because in case there was any confusion, I saw one of the questions come through about 2 beds in a room. Everybody gets their own private room here. So whether you go down with a fishing buddy or 5 fishing buddies, everybody's going to get their own private room. What Bryant was saying is if you bring your wife, significant other, and you want to share a room with them, they can accommodate that. But when you're coming down with your fishing buddies, all of us that have traveled these different lodges, sometimes you're partnered up and bunked up with your fishing buddy in the room. No big deal, a couple nice beds. In this particular case, everybody has their own private bungalow. So just wanted to be clear on that. Really, really nice addition that this lodge is offering. So when you get back, after a nice day of fishing, you'll have your own private place to hang out. As you can also see, everybody's going to have internet. You will be able to check in with family, friends, unfortunately, business if you have to. But I get that question a lot. How will I be able to communicate when I get there? And as you can see, communication will not be an issue at all.
That's right. And when it comes to, someone was asking about charging equipment, camera gear, etc., whatever you might have. This lodge is connected to the solar power system, the government solar power system on the island. That is a new system that was just installed recently. It does have its hiccups. It will go out sometimes for just a few minutes, sometimes for a few hours, sometimes for a day. We are equipped with our own private generator. It's about the size of a VW bus, and it's diesel powered and provides power. So should the government power go out, we've got you covered. We have redundancy, and we will have that generator going as quickly as we are aware that the power is out. The power goes out in 3 a.m. The person in charge of our electrical system may be asleep. We may not know it, but as soon as we all wake up and realize it, we'll get him on it immediately and get that power restored as quickly as we can. So, of course, that would be the only time where you might not have internet, unless for some reason there's an error with the Starlink system that we can't control. But as you can tell, I suspect you're probably seeing me very clearly. Hopefully you're hearing me very clearly. This is absolutely in real time. And, that's what we can offer you here. Peace of mind, comfort. It would have been very difficult for me to spend the last 3 weeks here without connectivity on a regular basis as I check in with my partners and other business interests and family, and even more importantly, but it's been seamless. It's been superb. It's been easy. And that means I get the best of both worlds. I can sleep easily at night and fish hard during the day. And I will tell you, as I said earlier, I am so sorry I have to leave tomorrow. I wish I could stay another 3 weeks, but I'll be back very soon. And this really has been a dream come true. And I just encourage you all, if you haven't booked with Got Fishing, do it. Right? Remember, when you book with Got Fishing, it's the same price that it would be if you book directly with us. Right? We are coming to you through Got Fishing. This is their business that they've earned and deserve. So if you're on right now, watching me, watching us, sharing this time together, please do go on to Got Fishing and book through them. We'll love to have you, and we'll take very good care of you. I do see that question about ice, and I see another one about moon phase. I'll get right back to that. Ice, we do have ice for cocktail ice. That is made by using filtered water every night in ice cube trays in our chest freezer. So we have ice. We don't have an unlimited supply, but we have enough for cocktail hour, certainly. As far as ice on the boats, we freeze bottled water and keep that in our coolers, which keeps everything in the coolers ice cold. So your coolers will be ice cold all day long. If you decide to bring a couple beers for the end of the fishing day and throw them in the cooler, they will be ice cold, even at 4 o'clock when you reel in your lines. That's how we handle ice for drinks and ice in general. And as I mentioned, those refrigerators in your rooms, and every room has a fridge, do have freezers in them that will freeze water solid in just a couple hours. Moon phases here. Let's talk about moon phase and tides. We did talk about this earlier as far as GTs are concerned. People will associate a spring tide, a full moon or new moon tide most often with GTs due to the increased fluctuation in the amplitude of tidal cycles. But we see the best fishing I've had over the last 3 weeks happens to have been during neap tides at low tide. And I think one of the reasons why is because when you're fishing the areas that we target for GTs, you're simply out closer to the reef in wadeable water more often. If you're going from water that's a foot deep to 4, 5, 6 hours later, 4 feet deep, it becomes almost impossible and marginally safe to wade in those areas when you're out by the reef. If you've got tidal fluctuations that go from a foot and a half deep to 3 feet deep and back to a foot and a half deep, you can be wading all the way out there the entire time, having the potential to catch those GTs coming in and out of the reef 3 or 4 times as much time as you would if you were there during the higher tides. So when the tides get really high, in many places, the Korean Wreck, for instance, it's simply too deep to wade. So you're walking the beach, which is a great way to fish, and you will be very productive that way, but it does limit your reach out to where the GTs are more often going to be. It's true that GTs and bluefin trevally and all fish species will parallel the bank. If you check our Instagram or our website at christmasislandlodge.com, you'll see a picture of me with a black-tip shark. That shark was over 100 pounds and over 5 feet long. When that shark took my fly on my 12 weight, his nose was probably 5 feet off the sand of the beach. I had stripped in my line to the point where my floating line was actually inside my rod tip when he ate, and then off he went 200 yards on a dead run. I'll post the video soon. It's exceptional, and it took many minutes, but eventually we did get him back, and landed an amazing fish in that moment. So fishing from the beach is very productive, no doubt, but I would rather have the 200 yards from the beach to the reef and everything in between it for as long a period of time as possible, and that would be during the neap tides. So it's all good. It all works. You're going to have a constantly varying tidal cycle when you're here, of course, due to gravity and the laws of physics. But whether every trip you're here, you'll either have a full neap on a half moon or a new moon or a full moon. So you'll get good variation all the way through. Every week is great at Christmas Island Lodge. Every week is great. Yeah, Carrie, that's right. If you think of questions later, email Brian and Carrie. They'll get right back to you. Any info they don't have an immediate answer to, they'll reach out to me. I'll get right back to them, and you'll get it straight from us. All the info you need anytime you need it. We're connected. All of us are connected 24 hours a day. my life of running outfitting businesses includes outfits in Asia, North America, Oceania, and other places. I'm answering emails on and off through the night every night. And if you send something my way, it might come in an odd time of night, or my response to Brian or Carrie might, but you're going to get the info you need very, very quickly.
Well, guys, if we don't have any more questions, we'll wrap this up. So give someone just a few seconds as I'm wrapping this up to pop in a question if you've got one. Carrie threw out a little message there. Obviously, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to us at info@gotfishing.com if you have any questions. And then I'm hoping that some of you have some interest in this, and we're going to have some questions. So please feel free to reach out to me tomorrow, next day, whenever it's convenient for you, and if we start talking about dates and answering questions that you might have. Really want to thank Bryant for taking this opportunity. I thought, with Christmas Island being closed down for 3 years, with the fact, how the location of it, some of the rumors that we've heard in the past, unique things that Bryant and his partners have done to this, a great opportunity to show you guys what an amazing location, some of the real they've done to the lodge to, just make it a little bit more comfortable. And I think they've done an amazing job. So thank you, all of you guys, for taking the time tonight to join in on this. I hope that it was helpful. Bryant, thank you so much for taking the time to show us your amazing lodge. I cannot wait to get there personally. More excited than ever to put a trip together, host a trip. That's another thing we'll be doing. So any of you out are listening that are looking for a group to go with, I know we have some that are on that already have their own group going. Those that are looking for a group and would like to join our hosted trip, reach out to me. We are going to be putting a week together to get down there. So thank you all. We really fishing. Thank you, Carrie, for making this happen. Thank you, Brian. Thank you all. You guys have a great night.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Can't wait to see you on Christmas Island. And hey, if you're sitting on the fence right now about whether or not this is for you, I'm telling you, I promise you, come join us, come visit us. When you leave this place, it is going to have blown your mind and completely reset what you think flats fishing can be. And we'll take very good care of you here at the lodge. It's what we do, and it's what we're passionate about. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And check us out. Come visit us. You will be glad that you did.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.